Hey guys, welcome back to Battle 360. Today, we're diving into the history of wars America has been involved in but didn't exactly win. Some of these conflicts may surprise you, as the outcomes shaped not only US history but also the world. So let's get started. Our first stop is the War of 1812, a conflict between the young United States and the British Empire. It's a war that didn't really have a winner. The British even managed to burn down Washington, D.C., however. The Treaty of Ghent brought the war to an end, and the U.S. walked away with its sovereignty intact, but without any major victories or territorial gains. It's often remembered as a war of endurance more than triumph. Fast forward to the Korean Peninsula, where the U.S. found itself in another stalemate. The Korean War ended with an armistice, not a victory, and the country remains divided to this day. North and South Korea still live in tension. The U.S. had hoped to unite Korea under democratic rule, but that dream faded as the Cold War deepened. Now let's talk about Vietnam, one of the most controversial wars in U.S. history. Despite years of military engagement, the U.S. withdrew in 1975, and shortly after, South Vietnam fell to the north. It was a devastating moment, both for America's global image and for the countless lives affected. This war became a symbol of the limits of U.S. military power. Next, we're headed to Cuba for the infamous Bay of Pigs invasion. This was a US-backed mission to overthrow Fidel Castro that ended in complete disaster. Castro's forces crushed the invaders, and the US was left red-faced on the world stage. It was a major embarrassment for President Kennedy early in his administration. Let's jump to 1980, with Operation Eagle Claw, an attempt to rescue 52 American hostages held in Tehran. This mission ended in tragedy when a sandstorm caused a helicopter crash, killing 8 U.S. servicemen. The hostages weren't rescued, and it was a dark moment in U.S. foreign policy, showing how even the best-laid plans can go terribly wrong. In Lebanon, U.S. forces were sent as peacekeepers during the Civil War, but things quickly turned violent. After a massive bombing in Beirut killed 241 American soldiers, the U.S. pulled out, a retreat that highlighted the complexities of Middle Eastern politics and the dangers of intervention. You've probably heard of Black Hawk Down. This operation in Somalia was supposed to capture a warlord, but it went disastrously wrong. U.S. forces were ambushed in Mogadishu, and 18 soldiers were killed. The incident shocked the American public, leading to a swift withdrawal and leaving Somalia in chaos. Now, we can't forget the Iraq War. It started with the fall of Saddam Hussein, but what followed was years of instability and violence. Despite initial success, the U.S. struggled to bring peace to the region, and the rise of ISIS years later made many question whether the war had been worth it. Finally, we come to Afghanistan, America's longest war. After 2 decades of fighting, the U.S. withdrew in 2021, and the Taliban quickly regained control. For many, this was a bitter end to a conflict that began as a response to 9/11s, but ended with many of the same problems still unresolved. So there you have it. A journey through the conflicts where the U.S. didn't come out on top. Some were strategic failures, others ended in stalemates. But each one teaches us a lot about the challenges of war. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into history. See you in the next one.